All right. So, hello and welcome back to this week's live stream. I'm Gordon Morris, your natural English coach, and I'm here once again to answer your questions. All right, here's our first question for this week. A friend told me that I say words like simple and or CD in a way that's hard to understand. How do I pronounce them more naturally? So, here's the thing. The closest sound in Japanese to si, the sound si, is the sound shi in Japanese. Therefore, when you say words like simple or CD in a Japanese accent, it will become shimple or shidi. See how the first sound is very different? So, correct sound is si without the sh sound, without the first sh, si. So, how do you make that sound? It's actually a pretty simple trick. So, when you say the sound sh, 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 notice that your tongue is up a little bit. Tongue is up a little bit, and it's not touching the bottom or the floor of your mouth. And that's what you want to do if you want to make the s sound. So basically, see this diagram right here and see the tongue area. You can see the little blue circle. The blue circle is where you want your tongue to be to make the correct s sound. When you make the sh sound, your tongue is up more, kind of in between where your teeth are. However, to make the s sound, the tip of your tongue has to be touching the bottom of your teeth in the back. S, s. You can actually change the sound when you're making it just by going shh. See how you can go back and forth between those two sounds. It's kind of interesting and good practice for you. Shh. Also notice that my lips go out more when I'm making the sh sound. That just makes a stronger sh sound. And that when I say make the s sound, the lips go in a little bit more. So, now it's your turn to try this. Here's a couple of sentences where you can hear the s sound pretty clearly. So, Lucy is sick. Lucy is sick, not Lucy is chic, right? Lucy is sick. Or, I sing a simple song. There's two of them in here, right? I sing a simple song. Try that one. The more you practice, the better at the pronunciation that you will become. All right, here's our next question. When I was out walking, I heard someone yell, "Heads up." Does that mean that I should look up? What does that really mean? So, heads up has the same meaning as watch out or look out. So, if you hear someone yell heads up near you, it means that there's something nearby that is dangerous. A lot of times people yell heads up when, they've hit a golf ball somewhere, or maybe they threw a frisbee somewhere, and it's maybe dangerous to somebody who's nearby. Heads up can also be used to tell people information that they might not know. So, for example, heads up, I'm going to be working late today. So, as you can see, it's the same meaning as for your information. Or, just as a heads up, you will have to pay before you enter. So again, it's similar meaning to for your information. Our third question is, what does it mean to compromise on something? This is a tricky word that has kind of a deep meaning to it. So, to compromise means to make an agreement that is good for all of the people involved. So you also have to often give up something if you are compromising. So when we talk about compromising, a lot of times it is in the situation of you're at you're at a work and you have a meeting, and that, let's say that you have a meeting with a different company and you're trying to make a deal, right? However, what you want and what the other company wants can't really match. It's not really a good match. So that means that you might have to compromise, which means that you give up something and that perhaps they give up something in order to have an agreement and make a deal. That's called compromise. So it's important to also know that compromise can mean to lose in certain contexts. So if you've ever watched like a kind of like a action or suspense movie, especially one that involves like military people, you will probably hear this line used in English a lot. Our position has been compromised. We have to leave. So the phrase, our position has been compromised. If something is compromised, then that means that something is no longer useful, or it's you can't really use it anymore. So that's a special use of compromise. So like I said before, you mostly use compromise when you're trying to make a deal with somebody or you're trying to find common ground. So in this case, he's not willing to compromise on anything. So in this case, this person does not want to compromise, so they do not want to give up anything that they have or that they want. Our fourth question here is, why is it so difficult to sound natural when saying words with sounds like t, k, or f at the end of them? So, I've talked about this a couple times before on previous lessons, but it's always useful to review. So, in Japanese, all basic sounds must have a vowel sound in them. And a vowel sound is basically like an open sound, essentially. So, a, I, U, E, O are all vowel sounds. And then when you go down on the lower parts of the Japanese alphabet, you say stuff like ta, chi, tsu, te, to, right? So all of those sounds are basically a consonant sound plus a vowel sound. So ta consists of t, which is the consonant sound, t, and a, ta. A is the vowel sound. So it's consonant, vowel. Also like chi, chi, chi. So ch is the vowel, is the consonant sound, and I is the vowel sound. So as you can see, whether it's a, I, U, E, O, which is just vowel, or it's ta, chi, tsu, te, to, which is consonant plus vowel, there always has to be a vowel sound. The one exception, of course, is the n sound. That is the only Japanese phoneme, or really only, I'm not quite sure what you would call them, letter perhaps, that is just a consonant sound. But in English, it's much more common to have consonant clusters, which means that there's several consonant sounds in a row, especially ones that are the last sound of a word. So, when you're speaking English with a Japanese accent, words like start become stato, stato. Notice that the final sound is to, to, right? Instead of start. See how that final O sound doesn't appear in natural English speech. So really, you don't want the final O sound of to, you just want the T sound. And this is very tricky to learn how to pronounce reliably. It's something that even very, very high-level speakers of English, Japanese English speakers, sometimes don't ever learn, or they don't quite get right. But it's very important to sound natural in English. It's very important to learn this pronunciation thing. So here are a couple of very common words that are used in English and Japanese, right? So fight or fighto. So again, you don't want to say the final to sound. You just want the t, fight. Or attack, attack, not ataku, ataku. right? You don't want the ku sound, you want the k, attack. Or life, not life. So you don't want the hu sound at the end, you just want the f. You want to stop at the strong F sound. F, life. So fight, attack, life. These are all words that's worth kind of practicing slowly to yourself a little bit every single day, because even practicing a little bit every day will make you much better in the long term. All right, our final question of the day is, I'm meeting a representative of a different company who only speaks English. How do I be respectful and friendly? So in the context of speaking to people, obviously it can be very scary or very intimidating, especially when you're trying to speak and interact in a different language like English. So one thing to keep in mind is that politeness happens before you even start speaking. Basically, this means that at the time of meeting someone, even before you say, hello, my name is, how do you do, hajimemashite, stuff like that, you are looking at each other, you can see each other, and you are reading each other's body language, right? So there are many acts of politeness that can cross cultural barriers. All of this stuff can happen even before you start speaking to one another. So a couple of quick and easy tips that I would give anybody who wants to sound polite and also friendly in English, especially in business settings, are these phrases. Do you think something, or would you be able to something? These are really good ways of asking questions of people and also making requests of them that don't feel rude or don't feel too forward, really, too direct. So, for example, do you think you could get me those reports soon? Or, would you be able to schedule a meeting with the client? So even when you're asking these things to people who are the same, who are kind of on the same level as you, for example, your colleagues, right? Not someone who's below you, not someone who's above you, but someone who's, in the same level as you. These are very polite and friendly ways to ask someone to do something. So it's very important to pay attention to the level of politeness with each of your colleagues or the people that you work with. In most Western business settings, there is no explicit senpai-kohai relationship, which basically means that people are not clearly expected or directly expected to act according to senpai-kohai relationships. However, it is important to know that there is a more implicit or subtle version of this. No matter where you go, there are still people who are sort of higher and lower in a business organization because of their title or because of their position or because of their age or something like that. It's not going to be the same as in Japan workplaces, but it is very important to try and be aware of and to notice and stuff like that. In general, it's just always thinking of how to be polite and friendly will basically solve most of your problems. But yeah, it's tricky because there's a lot of people who think that senpai-kohai relationships do not exist at all in Western business settings, and that's not entirely true. It's just a different kind of relationship. All right, and as usual, we're going to finish up this week with a question for yourself. What is something that you don't want to compromise on, and why? So, as usual, I recommend that you try and answer this question to yourself and record your answer when you are saying it. That way you can play the recording back when you are listening to it again and you can hear what you said before, and this will help you correct errors on your own. So again, listen and repeat, listen and repeat. This is how you can get better at speaking English naturally more quickly. So as usual, thank you for watching. Of course, if you can, please like and subscribe and comment on the video and the live stream, because every single one of those things will help me make more content in the future. Also, because this is a live stream, if you ever have a question during the live stream, you can type it into the chat and I will see it and I can reply to your question immediately. But if you want to ask a question from one of my other videos, you can go ahead and comment on those videos as well, and I will see the comment and I can reply to your question also. All right, and of course, if you do want to take a free natural English assessment and find out what your strengths and weaknesses are when speaking natural English, you can always go to my website, which is down there in the corner, and take that, and I will give you a personal response. All right, so see you later until next week.